we'd like to invite you to just close your eyes, relax, rest in the presence, and hold space.
Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamari. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamari. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. 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 Omega Dantaya Vidnavi Vakrajundaya Dhimahi Tanno Danti Prachodayat. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamari. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamari. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. 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 Om Agratundaya Mahakaya Suryakuti Samaprabha Nirvigyam Kuru Me Deva Sarva Karyeshu Sarvada. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. 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 Pataye Namo Namaha. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari. Kanganapataye Namo Namaha. 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 Suklambaradharam Vishnu Sasivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyaye Sarvavignyopashantaye. Kanganapataye Namo Namaha. Kanganapataye Namo Namaha. Kanganapataye Namo Namaha. Kanganapataye Namo Namaha. Kanganapataye Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari. Kanganapataye Namo Namaha. 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 Om Ekadantaya Vidmahi Vakratundaya Dhimahi Tanno Danti Prachodayat. Kanganapataye Namo Namaha. Kanganapataye Namo Namaha. Kanganapataye Namo Namaha. Kanganapataye Namo Namaha. Namo Namaha. Namo Namaha.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Welcome to our weekly online satsang. Satsang being a Sanskrit word that means community of truth. or spiritual community, really. Wherever two or more people join together who are on the path of awakening and the flowering of the heart in oneness with the divine source, we have a satsang. And when we come together like that, we multiply each other's strength and inner peace exponentially. So glad you're here. We're living at a time when it is essential that humanity awaken and shift from a collective insanity rooted in competition, conflict, and war to a new world rooted in cooperation, harmony, and peace. That happens as the human heart flowers. Not just one heart, but the heart of the collective consciousness of humanity needs to awaken together and shift. We believe that when enough of us individually have awakened into oneness, there will be a shift in the collective consciousness. And people will go, competition is insane. Conflict is insane. Violence and war is like, no. And that day is coming. And thank you for being part of it. We share throughout these webcasts a transmission called the Flowering Heart Blessing, which is a direct transmission of divine consciousness and presence. Divine awareness is enlightenment itself. And the Flowering Heart Blessing imparts awakened divine consciousness to the receiver that catalyzes an awakening within. If you're already awakening, it smooths the way. It dissolves blocks and speeds up the journey, makes it a bit smoother. If you're already awakened, well, congratulations, but that's not a destination. It's an ongoing, endless process of expansion, and the Flowering Heart Blessing will help take us deeper into the experience and life of awakening. So, it comes directly from Divine Source. There's no cost involved. It's a gift of grace, which means it's just given freely by the divine. And we received instructions that anyone who received the Flowering Heart Blessing would be initiated, activated, to be able to share it themselves after receiving it just once. So we invite you, since you're soaking in it right now, to join us in inviting the divine to pour the Flowering Heart Blessing through us to all the participants in the webcast tonight and all those who will view the video in the days ahead. There are many, many, many times more people that watch the recording between one Monday and the next than actually are able to join us on Monday nights because of where they live, time schedules, responsibilities, which is just fine. The good thing is, since the Flowering Heart Blessing is spirit, see, energy is frequency. It takes time to move through space, but spirit is everywhere simultaneously all at once. And so you could watch this video 10 years from now and you would feel and experience the presence of the divine just as beautifully and wonderfully as we're going to be experiencing it here tonight. So please, all join us. Also, give us a like or a love if you're on Facebook Live, a heart or a thumbs up. There are other emojis, whatever you like. Because we go in at the end and we look at your names, and unless you've entered a comment in the chat, and then we'll know you were here, of course. But if we see your name, a like or a love, we send you extra blessings and hugs, and it just warms our hearts to know that you dropped in to view this video. If you're watching on Vimeo, you need to make a comment in the chat like, hi, this is so-and-so, bye, namaste. And we also look there to see who's watching. So glad you're with us. What announcements do we have? Anything?
I don't think so. Oh, we're starting a new book.
We are starting a new book on our book club. You can get the details off our website at floweringheart.org. If you go to floweringheart.org, there's a menu of buttons on the left. The top button says Book Club. You click on that, or even just scroll down the main page. There's information and the link for the Zoom link that we're using for the book club. We do it live in person at Flowering Heart Center at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday afternoons. but we also stream it through Zoom online. So if you get the link, feel free to join us. We're beginning a new book, so this would be a great time. It's called Invitation to Love, The Way of Christian Contemplation by Thomas Keating. It's a marvelous book. I first was exposed to it, I shouldn't tell you how many years ago, more than 30 years ago, I think. And there's a 20th anniversary edition that we're going to be using. But the link for all of that, where you can get it off Amazon and see what it looks like, get the 20th anniversary edition if you're going to join us. And just read the guidelines and the information that's there on our website.
And there's access to each week's meetings. And so if you think you might be interested in it, you could watch one of the Zooms.
No, you can't do that.
Okay, or you could.
No, the recordings only belong to the people who have
that
actually.
are on the book
yes.
club. Oh, okay.
Nice idea, but
That
no,
would
we're
be
not
a good
gonna.
idea.
No, we don't want to. That's way too much work. Plus, it's sort of there's more privacy with the group,
Right.
Because everybody sees everybody on Zoom, and
Right.
you know. And then after the book club is over, which is an hour. We do 20 minutes of centering prayer, which is a wonderful contemplative practice. The definition of Christian contemplation for centuries was simply resting in the presence, resting in God. And as we rest in the presence dynamically transforms us and takes us into divine union. That's what contemplative prayer is all about. It's been called Christian meditation, various names, but centering prayer is a wonderful tool to open us to the grace of contemplation, which is a gift. And it's very reinforcing, strengthening, and deepening to do it with others in a group, even online at a distance. It's so powerful when we do it together, that 20 minutes of centering. So feel free to join us anytime. We'd love to see you. And I think that's it. Yay! So now we open it to questions and answers on the spiritual journey, or the process of awakening, divine union, meditation, previous lives, the spiritual dimensions. Whatever you might have a question about, preferably one that relates to your own experience and your own path. I mean, we can tackle the philosophical questions, but that's sort of one step removed from what we're actually feeling and experiencing in our own spiritual practice of meditation or prayer or whatever it is we're doing. So look inside and ask your inner guidance, because the divine source dwells within you at the center of your being and can help you find the right questions. We'll give you a few minutes to do that while I read 14 quotes. Nope, that's the wrong one. Okay, I guess we're going to do this. Okay, why not? 14. The other one was a list of quotes about what to do when everything just goes haywire and to stay flexible to change. We would have been laughing all the way through it tonight. But this is 14 quotes on the enlightening quotes, about spirituality. And this was compiled by an author, Joyce Chen, who's a writer, editor, and community builder based in Seattle, Washington. And thank you, Joyce, for this. We've had several articles. These authors on this website, inspiringquotes.com, write brief articles on inspired subjects, and then they share with us a list of quotes from inspired people that help to illustrate the points. So here's what Joyce has to say. Spirituality is not always the easiest term to define, but perhaps the simplest way to describe it is a belief in something beyond ourselves. This encompasses religion as well as a relationship with the universe or communing with nature. Being spiritual is not limited to certain denominations or belief systems. Rather, it's a way to understand our connection to forces that may be outside our scope of understanding. It is commonly believed that there are three main facets to human spirituality: our values, relationships, and life purpose. Gaining a deeper knowledge and appreciation for each of these aspects can help us to be more enlightened, mindful, and even happier. Research has shown that spirituality helps us to cope with life's difficulties, including stress, depression, and grief. It helps us to better understand the realities of living, persevere through difficult times, and accept loss and sadness when they arise. What's more, a spiritual practice often comes with a component of community, bringing the added benefit of social support. Whether you're just starting out on your spiritual journey or have made it a long-standing practice, these 16 quotes can help you tap in to your spiritual self. So let's dive in. Awakening is not changing who you are, but discarding who you are not. Deepak Chopra. It isn't until you come to a spiritual understanding of who you are, not necessarily religious feeling, but deep down the spirit within, that you can begin to take control. Oprah Winfrey. At any moment, you have a choice that either leads you closer to your spirit or further away from it. At any moment, you have a choice that either leads you closer to your spirit or further away from it. Thich Nhat Hanh, the great Zen master. You are never alone. You are eternally connected with everyone. Amit Ray, spiritual teacher. Religion is for people who are afraid of going to hell. Spirituality is for those who've already been there. Vine Deloria Jr., author. Spirituality is recognizing and celebrating that we are all inextricably connected to each other by a power greater than all of us, and that our connection to that power and to one another is grounded in love and compassion. Brene Brown. Permanent or physical strength can never permanently withstand the impact of spiritual force. Let's hear that again. Physical strength can never permanently withstand the impact of spiritual force. Franklin D. Roosevelt. You do not need to work to become spiritual. You are spiritual. You need only to remember that fact. Spirit is within you. God is within you. Julie Cameron, teacher and author. The spiritual life is not a life before, after, or beyond our everyday existence. No, the spiritual life can only be real when it is lived in the midst of the pains and joys of the here and now. Henry Nouwen, priest. Make your own Bible. Select and collect all the words and sentences that in all your readings have been to you like the blast of a trumpet. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Music is the mediator between the spiritual and the sensual life. Ludwig van Beethoven. Prayer is not asking. It is a longing of the soul. It is daily admission of one's weakness. It is better in prayer to have a heart without words than words without a heart. Mahatma Gandhi. We do not need more intellectual power. We need more spiritual power. We do not need more of the things that are seen. We need more of the things that are unseen. Calvin Coolidge. Yes, you must live life beautifully and not allow the spirit of the world that makes gods out of power, riches, and pleasure make you forget that you have been created for greater things, to love and to be loved. Mother Teresa. Thank you, Joyce Chen. Very sweet. Well, I'm not seeing any questions. I can read more quotes, but I can't get my email, so. Today has been one string of mishaps, unsettling turn of events that, we've just really had to stay flexible. So I was going to read you all these quotes about staying flexible, but I couldn't get my email to open, so to get the link. So I had to be flexible and do another one.
And what was the one that you were going to read?
On staying flexible with all the twists and turns of life. It was all about today. It really was. Well.
Is that a question?
Yeah, Michael Christopher says, I was recently told I was not a real Christian because I practice Taoist Qigong. Is it possible to be Christian and have practices from other spiritual traditions? Well, most of us hope so, who are Christian. I mean, yes.
I haven't heard of Christian yoga, have you?
Yes.
Oh,
I have a
okay.
book called Christian Yoga.
Oh, do you? Nice.
Written by a Greek Orthodox yogi who is an advanced Christian Orthodox mystic and yogi. Yeah.
I guess that answers your question.
One of my best friends is a Taoist abbot. And we trained together in the temple as in our youth. And he now calls himself a Christian Taoist. And I call myself a Taoist Christian. Subtle nuance. But I mean, there are many Christians who practice Qigong. Taoism is not so much a religion, really. I mean, it's a beautiful mystical path, but there's no contradiction. And there are many people that practice various forms of yoga, whether it's Chinese Taoist Qigong or Buddhist Qigong, or whether it's Hindu yoga from India, who are very devoted to their particular spiritual path. Many Christians practice these mind-body disciplines without compromising at all their commitment to their divine, in this case, to Christ. Usually that kind of comment comes from a fundamentalist, evangelical, who have a beautifully strong commitment and often faith life, but are very judgmental of anything that is not clearly written of in the Bible. And the Bible doesn't mention yoga. The Bible doesn't mention Qigong. But Jesus himself never prescribed any kind of physical spiritual discipline, per se. And I say to my friends who have said over the years, but Qigong is not in the Bible. I go, well, do you eat spaghetti? I go, yeah, well, spaghetti's not in the Bible either, so maybe you should have nothing to do with spaghetti. It's not of God if it isn't in the Bible, right? I mean, St. John the Beloved, the disciple that Jesus loved so much, who wrote the Gospel of John, said at the end of his gospel that if all of the deeds of Christ were written in Scripture, there would not be enough books in the world to contain them all. So there's a lot more that God has done, that God has said, that has not been necessarily recorded in that collection of scriptures that we call the Bible or the Hebrew and the Christian scriptures. There are very many other beautiful spiritual texts, but there's no reason to feel, well, why would you be told that, Michael? I don't know. Somebody needs to tell other people
How to live.
how to live and what to do. But a lot of evangelical Christians believe honestly that if you do yoga, you'll go to hell. And they don't really understand Qigong at all. I mean, yoga's got much more names of deities and sort of divine stuff going on. The Taoist path is a way of harmony with nature and the universe, and that the transcendent is a mystery beyond all knowing. And he who tries to put it into words doesn't know what he's talking about. And the one who does talk about it, they don't know what they're talking about. I said that first. He who knows does not speak, and he who speaks does not know. But I have, years and years ago, was invited to share Taoist Qigong with monks of a certain order, of very strict monks in the Catholic Church, whose abbot, and they felt it would be wonderful to add Qigong as a sort of physical adjunct to their hours of contemplative prayer, which are silent and motionless. That kind of yoga and Qigong keeps your blood and your energy moving, and it actually makes it possible to go longer in contemplation. And then we and my former partner, we were invited to present Qigong to all the people who were doing intensive centering prayer retreats. And nobody saw any conflict with it, because it's not a religious thing. It's a very beautiful way of integrating spirit, prana or chi, and your physical body. Those three things that are often opposed to each other. You know, it's like a tug of war with the body at one end and the spirit at the other end, and the poor soul in the middle with all the life force like trying to navigate this. And some of these mind-body disciplines like Qigong and some forms of yoga can be very, very useful in helping to bring that harmony and beautifully deepen your contemplative or meditation practice. So the short answer was, yeah, you can do it and be a Christian. Ekaterina writes, I've been in many spiritual groups, and some of them say that entities can leave implants. Oh. They also say that our new president is like a robot because she's hollow and a devotee of the holy dead. I'm sorry for asking this. I just want to know your thoughts on this. It's not my experience, but of people near me. Well, Ekaterina is a delightful actress in Mexico, and we love you very much. And they just got a new president, and the first Jew woman president ever elected in Mexico, which sounds like a milestone. I don't know her, and I don't know enough about her. I'm sure she's not hollow. I'm sure she has a heart and a soul just like everyone else. And but I don't know enough about her to address her spirituality or lack thereof. But I do know this, that in the Hebrew scriptures it says, the heart of the ruler, the leader, is in the hands of the Lord. And the divine can turn the heart of our leaders any way the divine wants. So pray for those who are in authority over us. I know that. I also know it says that all the authorities on earth among humanity have been appointed by God. Now when you look around, it's like, wow, wow. Well, sometimes groups of people ask for the wrong thing. Israel, in the Hebrew scriptures, had a unique relationship. All the other nations around them had kings who had armies that did what kings and armies do. Israel had Yahweh. And they just had to answer directly, not to a king who was going to tax them, and draft them into war. They had to listen and be obedient to the voice of the Lord their God. But you know, they were jealous of all these other nations they admired around them who had kings. And so they petitioned God and said, give us a king like all the other people on earth. And he said, okay, I'll give you what you're asking for, but you'll be sorry. And from the first king on, there was trouble in Israel. Some of them were great, some of them weren't so great. But it's sometimes people have asked for the wrong kind of leaders. I mean, I don't want to start talking politics or history, but I think arguably that happened in Germany. And people were very sort of distressed, and the national ego was really bruised, and it was very appealing to have a bully behind the pulpit who had power and could give the promise that he could, you know, lift Germany to new heights. And God allowed that. Why would God allow us to appoint? We say all authorities are appointed by God or allowed by God. Why would God do that? So we can learn. Whatever you want on earth, heaven will release for you. Whatever you bind on earth, heaven will bind for you. So pray for those that are in leadership. Usually we sit around and we look at our leaders and we criticize what we view as their faults and shortcomings, which just puts more energy behind them and creates more division. If we would take them in our hearts and hold them up to God and say, this is what I'm seeing, please help our leader. Give her wisdom and compassion and guide her decisions and her steps for the benefit of all people. I think the divine really loves those kinds of prayers, and it definitely can influence the wisdom or lack thereof of our leaders. Want to add anything to that?
Yep.
And Morey wrote free will. That's absolutely right. Free will. That's the point. Whatever you loose on earth, heaven will loose. Whatever you ask for, in prayer believing, you'll receive it. So it's important that we seek to discern the will of God before we start like taking control over the world and the earth and making it the way we think it should be. We're not that smart. And a lot of problems have come down through history. Humanity has really been, in many cases, had noble intentions in political movements, in philosophical movements, and in religious movements. Religious movements seeking salvation and oneness with God, the philosophical movements seeking equality and sanity in human relations on this planet. And politics, yeah. Well, some of them were well-meaning. People thought, if we overthrow this oppressive, tyrannical government, then we can raise up in its place a free society. Well, that more or less hasn't worked anywhere. I mean, I think this country and many others have wonderful expressions of freedom, but we're obviously not free, and there's something wrong with every political system on this planet. So, humanity's been trying for countless thousands of years to escape the trap of conflict and violence and to bring about love, oneness, equality, and failed miserably because politics, religion, and philosophy can't do it. What it requires is awakening of the human heart, transformation, awakening from the dream that you and I are separate and you pose a threat to me. You might hurt me, so I need to be guarded. And I need to compete with you if I expect to accomplish anything in this world. Well, not true, because that's rooted in the illusion that we're separate beings, when in fact we are 8 billion expressions of one being, one universal being, one universal consciousness, one flowering heart of pure unconditional love that is expressing itself through the entire manifest universe. And in our world, especially through us 8 billion quirky human beings. We all feel like we exist and we're aware of our existence and we have consciousness. What most of us have not awakened to is that that consciousness that we're experiencing is the consciousness of the divine source itself. And when all the veils drop away and all the blinders drop away, we look into each other's eyes, and I see you looking back through my eyes to you. And I see myself looking back at me through your eyes. We look into each other's eyes and we're one and the same being. That requires spiritual awakening. And humanity has been lagging a bit behind in that spiritual awakening journey, although it seems to be on course, they tell us, the wise ones. It's been taking thousands of years. Many of us believe we are poised on a collective awakening and shift in consciousness. That's what we're looking forward to. That's why we're doing the satsangs and processes and transmissions and the flowering heart blessings that we're sharing.
Well, people have a lot of really strong opinions on things, and it's because we've been taught how to think with our heads and our ego and our positions. And when we start to learn to think with our hearts and listen with our hearts, we allow space for more things, for more understanding, and for more compassion. It would really help a lot if, we weren't just spreading things based on our egos. And I think there's a lot of that going on in the news these days, and people talking about political leaders or spiritual leaders or, whatever their strong opinions are. It's because they're not coming from their hearts. They're coming from their programs and their minds of what they've been taught to believe and their circumstances of life. Mm-hmm. So the more of us that can get on board with thinking with our hearts and reacting and responding to things with our hearts, other people can learn how to do it.
And thinking for ourselves.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, that's another thing. Come from the heart, not the mind, but at the same time, so many of us don't do our own thinking, our own research, our own prayer for discernment. We listen to someone we put up on a pedestal. It could be someone in our religious movement. It could be someone in politics that we admire and trust. It could be anyone we think, is smarter and wiser than we are. And we're constantly being given these narratives. And many of us just think and do whatever those people that we respect tell us to do. We assume that whatever they say is true, that's true. Wow. Even when I think something is coming from my heart and I'm 99% certain this is like God talking to me, I have this mantra. Why do you assume that is true? And I think it was God that first whispered that in my heart years ago, because I had all these ideas that were echoing spiritual teachings throughout time. And the divine would come along behind me and say, why do you assume that's true? I go, because I've been reading it, because this person I respect says it is, because this enlightened being, and the divine keeps calling me deeper to question my assumptions.
Well, and so many people these days will just Google something and it'll pop up and give them an answer and they're like, oh, this is truth. We got into a funny discussion the other night when we were driving and we were talking about soy, and I had heard before that it has estrogen in it. And Michael's like, it doesn't have estrogen in it. And then so he Googled, and it does, but it's a phytoestrogen, which doesn't interact with human estrogen. It's a plant estrogen. But he looked through several different articles, and a lot of them said completely opposing things from each other. So it's like
if you eat a lot of soy, you're going to have high estrogen levels. It's going to lower your testosterone levels and your sexual libido. And that's a common belief in holistic circles. And that's why Japanese wives feed their husbands a lot of tofu to like keep them in line, you know. Well, some scientists actually back that up and say that phytoestrogen, which is plant estrogen, affects our hormonal, but it doesn't. Hormonal estrogen is different than plant. And there are all these other scientists that are saying, oh, that's ridiculous. You can eat all the phytoestrogen you want, and that's not going to change your hormonal estrogen or testosterone levels. So who's right?
Right.
Well, do I put my faith in this particular medical journal, or do I put it in that medical journal? And this stuff's going on all the time.
It's going on all levels. So
I remember what I studied about nutrition 30, 40 years ago. So much of it's been reversed. It's like, now what's true wasn't true back then, and what was true back then has been
not true now. And
so you've got to do, and I know David Barnhart's out there, he'd be jumping up and down. Do your own research,
Yes.
Do your own thinking.
And don't just look at one thing that you find. We've been lately, when we hear something and it doesn't sound right to us, when we check in with our hearts, it just doesn't sound right. We'll go and we'll find like so many different answers to it. And that's why discerning from your heart and from higher guidance is so important right now, because we do have so much access to information. But what of it is true? And that's the part where discernment comes in and thinking.
Einstein talked about his intuition. He said, I intuit many things that are true, but I do not know that they are true. So he, as brilliant as he was, he would intuit something, and then he would seek to prove it through mathematical formulation and through sound science. But it wasn't that he'd reached a conclusion. He intuited something that he couldn't prove at the moment. He just sort of knew it in his heart that it was true. And spirituality is a lot like that. Mm-hmm. Ekaterina wrote about the new president. Because of her party, my political comedy TV show ended. But I'm having new opportunities, yes, and we will keep that in prayer. And I can see why you might not be really excited that your political comedy got canceled because of a political change. But we understand that it goes on in this culture in various ways, and books get banned and TV shows get dropped, because of the current narrative that people are buying into, whatever it is. So I'm all for freedom. Freedom is what it's about. Happiness is the result of freedom. And we're not free if we're on the leash of someone who's telling us what is true, what we should believe, and what we should do.
Right.
Just saying. Wow, that was almost political.
I know. I was like inspired.
I think we stayed out of trouble.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, yay. That's always helpful.
Especially after the day we've had.
Oh, yes. Indeedy do.
Send extra prayers our way.
We'll send extra yours.
Yes.
So, if you would close your eyes and center in your heart of hearts and invoke the divine presence within you. One of the mysteries of spirit, as I shared earlier, is that spirit is fully present at every point in time and space. And so within you, at the center of your being, God, the divine source, the divine, is fully present within you. The entire universe that we experience outside of ourselves is a reflection of the universe that dwells within. At the center of your spiritual heart is the celestial sun of divine light and grace. Like the sun at the center of our solar system, The gravity of the sun holds all the planets in orbit. The sun, the celestial sun at the center of your heart, is exerting a gravitational pull that is infinitely more powerful than the sun or any material celestial body. The gravity that the divine sun is radiating from your core is love. Unconditional love is the gravity that is drawing us all from our distractions and our wanderings and pulling us all back into the center, into oneness with God, oneness with each other, and with all that is. All you need to do is take an intention. Ask the divine to awaken you and take you into union, and then let go. It's all really up to the divine. The divine loves you exactly as you are, with all your quirks, with all your faults. It loves you just as you are, and yearns for you to know that. For the veil, the illusion of distance from God, from the light, to dissolve, that's an illusion of the mind. It's not true. There is no distance between you and the divine source right now. You are one at the center. When that illusion, that delusion of the mind that makes us feel we're in darkness, we're at a distance, there's separation from God and from each other, when that veil dissolves, we make a quantum leap in the spiritual journey. So, simply yield yourself to the presence now. And allow the divine to take you into its embrace and set you free. As you yield to the grace and the love of the presence within you, drawing you in and transforming you, it begins to radiate and shine outward through your whole being, through your mind and soul, dissolving wrong thinking and programming, replacing it with inspired feelings and thoughts, ideas, divine programs. It shines out into your physical body, dissolving disease and filling you with divine life and light and health. And shine even further out into your relationships to heal them and set them right, and out into the world to transform your relationship with the world outside of you, and to touch all around you with the light of awakening, to catalyze the process in them as well. Just receive the grace that's flooding out of the center of your being in you. Drink it in, absorb it, receive it. The divine already knows what you need, knows what you want, and is all powerful, all wise, and all loving, and can get that across to you if you just let go and receive. Imagine us sitting in a blessing circle together with our eyes closed, all of us in a circle, raise up your hands with your palms open, facing forward, and let us take a strong intention for the divine presence to pour the flowering heart blessing through every one of us to all the others in the circle. As it pours through you, it transforms you. As it flows through you to others, and it pours back to you through them. Just release the weight of your care into the hands of the presence and let go. Trust. Now you can relax your hands in your lap. And when you're ready, open your eyes and begin to make direct eye contact with Suzanne and or me. Just make sure you keep gazing at least one of our eyes throughout the light meditation which we're diving into right now. In this meditation, Suzanne and I are flooded with oceans of grace, light, and love for you. It pours through every fiber of our being to you, especially through our eyes, the doorways of the soul. There's nothing for you to do but just keep looking at least one of our eyes. Relax and receive. And the light streams out through our eyes, into your eyes, through your eyes, into your spiritual heart of hearts, causing the fires of divine love and the light of awakening to burn brighter and brighter within you. Just allow the divine to work and relax and keep going. Close your eyes now. Meditate with us for a few more moments as the grace settles within us. Now keep meditating as long as it feels nice to you, or find a place nearby to lie in Shavasana. It's a lovely yoga pose where you just lie comfortably on your back with your eyes closed, your arms loosely at your sides with your palms open and turned upward. And as you lay with your eyes closed in the presence, just dissolve in gratitude. It's always beautiful to finish spiritual practice with Shavasana. We love you very much.
Much love, light, and blessings.
Until we cross paths again, know that the divine in us beholds the divine within you, and we bow to you. Namaste.